everyone, this is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for this Saturday, August 19th. Hey, we got the usual guys. We got Tom, Josh, and Gentry talking their parts of the lake, and then we got Tracy Robinson, our pro staffer from right here in Gadsden, who's going to fill in for Lee Pitts on the Neely, Henry, and Weiss Lake this week. We'll be right back with what those guys have to say. Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, August 19th. Hey, we're joined by Tom Ott, going to talk a little bit of Guntersville. Tom, I've been hearing some stuff about some floating stuff on top of some floating stuff out there. What am I hearing out of Guntersville these days?
And, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. I'm just tired of beating the ledges up, and we have to get off in the grass a little bit. That's my thing. That's what I like to do, and those fish are really starting to, they're showing up. They're doing what they're supposed to. I haven't found any real big fish yet, but I know that that's coming. I've seen a lot of reports of frogfish coming, starting to bite. And that's only going to get better. I mean, especially we've got some cool temps this week, and I think it's going to heat back up. We're not done with summer yet, but it's going to be great. It's getting hot right now. We caught our fish in about 8 to 10 foot of water, grass. Throwing a worm, throwing a jig. Probably a better luck came on a jig, but it won't be long. We'll be moving up next to those mats and doing a little. Doing a little of that plop, plop, fizz, fizz stuff.
I've been hearing frogfish being taken. That's what I was referring to in the intro. How much of a percentage are you saying fish are out versus starting to move up into that grass?
I'll be honest with you, Dano. It just seems like they've kind of scattered somewhat. I still don't think you could probably win a tournament. Maybe, I take that back. I think you could if you had some time and you could hunt them down in the grass a little bit. But I think your bigger fish are still going to come out there on the ledge. It's probably a more consistent bite. But the frogfish are coming. I think I read a report where a guy won with 3 fish and 17 pounds and said he was catching them on a frog. So it's coming maybe 50% there, I would say. But, with the longer days, the fish are definitely eating up. So it's going to get better.
What about any other species? I know the brim are probably up shallow. These colder weather is going to bring the striper up to start schooling maybe?
We keep seeing a little bit of schooling activity, but not like what we're expecting. And I think definitely that's going to happen. What I did see are just massive wads of bait out there that are starting to move into these bays and things like that, and that's really going to promote that schooling activity. And I think that the more, just the longer that the cooler the water gets and the longer that this goes on, it's just going to blow up. I mean, as far as brim and crappie going, I really haven't targeted any of that at all. I haven't heard anything about crappie at all, but, a few stripe here and there, a lot of smaller fish that are just following those bait wads out. You can catch a few like that, but I haven't caught anything noteworthy yet.
Tom, as always, brother, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, August the 19th. Hey, we are joined by Gentry Gordy. Going to talk a little Lake Martin and Jordan Lake. Gentry, you pick this week. Where do you want to start?
Let's start at Martin, Dano. It's still tough. I mean, not a lot has changed, but I have noticed that it seems like I talked to a couple of friends of mine too, and I've noticed that early in the morning or mid-morning, your crankbait bite is really starting to pick up if you can find the bait, and I'm pretty big crankbait, 6XD and 8XD. I think it's just getting up under them shad, when you find the fish right below them, and you can get them to eat that crankbait.
That's always a fun bite. Are those fish suspended? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely, David. Like I said, it's all about finding the bait fish and seeing if you can see those little golf balls that's hanging out up underneath them. And if you can find them in that right depth range, they will bite it. I mean, your other stuff is working as too, but, I'll take a crankbait over a Damiki rig or a drop shot, just a little more funner.
So maybe some of our listeners may not be so attuned to getting out there and fishing for those suspended fish. Do they want to look around any kind of cover or structures, slopes, points, anything?
Right now, what I've seen is, the mouths of your pocket, the deeper pockets, which, Martin's full of them. And you just got to put a little bit of seat time in and find, maybe you got a bluff wall on one side and a taper point on the other. It's stuff like that it'll start to hold them fish coming off the main lake.
Gotcha. Okay, let's talk Jordan in our last minute. Is it still an upriver thing? Thunderstorms in the afternoons, maybe a little bit of current, get up there?
That's going to be your best bet. A friend of mine said he's actually caught some fish flipping the grass. What you can do at this time of day, it's just you got to cover a lot of ground. Your dock fishing, your deeper docks, it's got some structure on it. You can pitch a jig around them. But for your quantity bite, you got to go up the river late in the afternoon and just hope they start pulling some water.
Well, Gentry, man, it sounds like it could be a lot of fun. A little bit of cooler weather this week. Get out there and have some fun yourself.
Yep, it's going to get better.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August 19th. Hey, we're joined by Josh Herron. Talk a little bit of Logan Martin and Lay Lake. What's happening, Josh? What's going on at Logan Martin?
Man, we're just praying for some cooler weather. Hopefully we're going to get some in the next week. But it's fishing's still pretty much a grind. I know everybody gets tired of hearing it, but it is August on the Coosa, so you just you take what you can get, and you do a lot of hunting and looking right now. We got a substantial amount of water in the past week, which has really bumped up the flow in the Coosa, and that's always helpful and welcome. So right now you can kind of key in on some of those river fish. It gives you an opportunity to kind of get out there on some of those softer drops, throw a crankbait, throw a shaky head, kind of look around for some brush is always an option. And in the morning, any of these kind of rockier, steeper banks on the main lake are a really good high probability for like stuff like a spook, buzzbait. This water temperature will cool down a little bit more, even a spinnerbait.
Are we getting any kind of concentrated flows, or is it just kind of keeping the flow rolling? Is that what it is?
Oh, no. This is strictly rain-based. The only time they're generating water consistently is later on in the afternoon, and that's strictly based off power consumption. So everybody gets home from work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they kick those air conditioners down, so the Alabama Power has to compensate by bumping the turbine schedule up.
Gotcha. We talked a little bit of Logan Martin fishing. Looks like we want to find, just kind of basic stuff. Look for a little bit of current. What about Lay Lake? What are you seeing there?
Spotted bass seem to be holding strong at Lay right now too. Early in the mornings, and if you got the gumption, you can run around with a flipping stick all day and pray for 5. But right now, spotted bass are still kind of holding strong too. Same kind of deals. This timber around these current edges, any of these steeper rocky banks seem to be doing good. Largemouth are really river oriented right now too, whether it be with a flipping stick or a swim jig, even stuff like a frog. So they're both fishing really same right now, or really similarly right now. Just Lay has the addition of timber.
Does it make any sense to go up to the dams and kind of look for current concentrated up there right now?
Yeah, you can always go. Same thing I tell everybody. You just make sure you got good insurance and you know what you're doing.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you again next week, man.
All right, buddy. See ya.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August 19th. Hey, filling in for Lee Pitts this week is our good friend and pro staffer, Tracy Robinson. He's a stud on Neely Henry and Weiss Lake. Let's talk Weiss Lake real quick, Tracy. What's happening there?
Weiss has been pretty good the last couple of weeks, actually, with a lot of the rains. Usually this is the kind of those dog days, but with Alabama Power generating a good bit of current, with these recent rains we've had, there's been some pretty good stringers weighed in. Not to say it's still not tough, but the current has kind of set some of these fish up where you can target them a little better. So I've followed some of the tournaments up at Brushy Branch and then on the lower end too, and I've seen some 3 and 4 pound average caught in these tournaments. You can also have a little bit of activity going on in the mornings. These fish are starting to kind of, I don't want to say the fall patterns, but the bait fish are starting to migrate in a little bit cooler water coming out of these ditches and creeks and wherever those bait fish with the bass are going. So a couple of times at Weiss about a week and a half ago, I actually found some schooling fish that were chasing the bait fish. And I saw that a little bit on Neely Henry as well. So there's a little bit of that going on, and that bite's going to pick up with the top water, the spook, or shower spray, whatever it is you want to throw on those. But that bite's actually pretty good in the morning if you're in the right area. I'd say kind of move around a good bit there the first hour. If you're not catching anything, because they're probably feeding somewhere. But you're going to have to get around those bait fish. So that's kind of been the key. But once that sun pops up, Weiss has always traditionally been good for dock patterns. So the dock pattern's still holding up. Getting in those shady areas with a jig or plastics under those docks. The current has set them up to where you could actually catch some crankbait fish in the last few days, and even Carolina rig or whatever that 10 to 15 depth range that you target it with. That's kind of been the key. Weiss.
You mentioned Neely Henry. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to that in the last minute. Neely Henry, has it been decent?
Neely Henry is a little bit different story because it's more of a the ditch, the river itself. But it has still positioned those fish some. The shallow bite, which traditionally that's what happens on Neely, but the junk fishing, the grass mats, the stump clumps, on the ends of the points or the laydowns. That's kind of been the target. The current's setting those fish up where they're supposed to be, but it's still kind of tough fishing. But this past week, the afternoon tournaments, there's been some 3 fish, 10 to 12 pound stringers weighed in, some 5 pound big fish weighed in the tournaments this week. So there's some bite happening on Neely, but it's mainly junk fishing.
Any chance of sitting on a bar and catching a few spotted bass?
I haven't tried it, Dano, but I know that with this current that's going to be a good thing to happen. Probably more so down the lake or maybe even way up the lake on some of those gravel bars. I know that bite would happen. I just haven't experienced it this week, but I'm sure that's a good tactic to try.
Tracy, as always, man, we appreciate you filling in for us. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
You, sir.
Well, that'll do it for our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August 19th. Thanks to the guys every week for giving us some information to be able to help us put a few fish in the boat. Don't forget, we got rebates on 2023 Skeeters going on right now. So if you're looking for that new bass boat, come see our Bass Cats, our Falcons. You got pontoon boats from Bentley and from Crest. Come see us over at the shop if you're looking for that new boat, or you want to keep yours running, go to see parts or the service department. And, of course, the tackle up in the loft will help you put a few fish in those boats. We will talk to you again next week. Thank you for spending the time with us. You are the best part of Bucks Island, and you are appreciated.